Hey startup founders, today I'm going to talk about one of my tips in my book, which is tip 21, the critical importance of burn rate. Now, if you don't know what burn rate is, you need to learn this fast. It's basically how fast you're going through the cash that you've got to make your business happen. So if you've got 100 grand and you're spending 10 grand a month, you've got 10 months of runway left because your burn rate is 10 grand per month. Why do I focus on this so much? Because everyone gets hung up on how much money they raise, but that's irrelevant if you don't understand your burn. Your burn is what's going to take out. So if I raise $1 million, that sounds great, but if I'm spending $1 million a month, I've got 1 month. That's just not going to work. So you have to understand burn rate. And what you need to understand about this is all the factors of what is burning your money. And do I really need to spend money on that today to get where I want to go, to the next what we call inflection point, or the next key milestone that's going to make people want to invest more into your business? Oh, stop, like and subscribe. The reason I say this is that I'm going to have a lot of useful information for you here, and if you don't like, subscribe and turn on the notifications, you won't get notified, and then you'll forget, and then you'll say, oh, who was that weird guy in the purple hat who gave us that advice? So I'm here now. Like and subscribe now. Don't wait. Do it right now, and you get way more information that'll make your startup survive. Do it now. Like, subscribe. The problem that I see every single day is that people get the money in the bank, they look at the bank balance go up to 3 million, and then they take their eye off the ball on the burn. You need to have a really good mentality about, okay, what are we spending today? And I mean, you need to look at your daily burn rates. You need to look at, what are we spending on foosball machines? Don't do it. What are we spending on climbing walls? Don't do it. Put your money into things that drive your product or your idea forwards, and put the money into getting to that next inflection point or milestone. You should have a really good plan, and we'll talk about this in other videos, about when you raise the money, what you're going to use the proceeds for. The key thing is, though, you've got to look at what things burn, and there are stupid things that burn. People spend money on all kinds of stuff that they shouldn't at the wrong time. Doesn't mean you can't spend it later when you raise more money, but usually in your phase of where you are in the company, what you need to do is you need to think about, what are we spending those dollars on for every single thing? And you've got to get the burn rate. You never know when you're going to be able to raise money again, by the way. So you need to make sure that your burn rate is phased. You can burn a bit more when you've got money at the beginning, as long as it's doing things to drive the product forward. And then your burn rate, really, as you start approaching the end of your runway, you have to put it down. So how do you do this? You're going to have fixed costs and you're going to have variable costs, right? In any business, there's things that you have to pay every month, and there's things that you can pay and turn off and turn on. Really make sure as much of your business, especially in the early days, is variable costs. Things that you can turn on, things that you can turn off. Why? Because as you start running out of runway, you want to be able to get that burn rate to come right down. And then you can go up again once you've raised your money again. But what you've got to do is make sure that your burn rate at the end of your runway is allowing you to not run out of money. This kills more startups than you can imagine, that they simply run out of money before they can raise more money. And you never know when the next major crisis is going to come. So you think to yourself, oh, we've raised $1 million now, we're going to raise 5 million on the next raise, and we're going to do that in December 2027. You get to plan it, but you don't get to actually do it. And the reason for that is you don't know what's going to happen in October, November. There might be some giant crash related to your market. So if you're in an AI startup, for example, and the bubble bursts just around about then, you will run out of money. So control your burn rate. Of course, you want to know how much you've got in the pot, but you want to know how fast that's coming out of the bottom of the pot. And you want to be able to control that and turn it on and off and make as much variable as possible. How do you do that? Don't hire tons of people on fixed salaries. What you want to have is you want to have a consultant. A consultant you can terminate tomorrow, and then you can save that money. You want to have projects where you're able to turn things on and turn things off. Some software developers, a software project, do it in small chunks. Don't pay for the whole lot up front. Do it in small chunks with milestones. And if you see that you're burning way too much cash, stretch it out, do something different, reduce the scope. But what you got to do is make sure that that burn rate comes right down, because if your burn rate stays high and you're running out of money, you'll just literally run out of money. And I've seen it so many times with close friends of mine that have said to them, watch your burn, and they don't. They just keep going. And what tends to happen is there's kind of a mini board meeting where everybody wakes up and says, we're almost out of money. What are we going to do? And then everyone tries to then stop spending money, and it becomes just a crisis. You've got to manage that professionally all the way through your runway, all the way through that phase that you're in, that stage, either it's pre-seed or seed, or whether it's a Series A. You want to know what you're raising, what you're going to burn when and how much of that is variable that you can turn on and off, and have a plan B for how you get burn down even faster should you see that there's a storm coming in your sector and it's going to be harder to raise money. You want to be able to very early on pull the levers, get the burn down so that your runway goes longer and longer to survive through and also give you more time to raise money. So that's today's tip. Burn, get it down, get it under control, make it as variable as possible, and you should do well. Keep going.